Ooh, look at you. Oh gosh. You're muted.
Hello.
Hi.
I am combed and ready.
You look good.
What vibes?
I am quietly nervous.
Oh gosh, that's all right, man. That's past it.
That
But go ahead and do whatever you have to do. It's fine. I'll just wait.
This is wrong. Change that, Val. I sent you the background. I sent you a new background.
Oh, where is it?
Let me.
Oh wait, I think I see. No. Zoom meeting background. Okay, let me do that now.
Yeah, because this is CG right here.
Okay. New. Is everything you see it?
Hi. What happened to your face, Bridget? Y'all, I need to unmute you.
I think maybe you set it to start with mute, like all.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Bridget, unmute yourself, please.
I think I'm unmuted.
Oh, and we now hearing you. Hello.
Hello.
What do you think about this blue? I think we might have to just go normal.
Is this it?
Bridget, why did you drink?
Why what?
Your mouth is blue.
Yeah, my whole mouth is blue.
Me see?
Okay, abort.
Hold on, let me see if I change my Oh wow.
No.
Try wiping your camera.
Oh, that has nothing to do with it.
No.
Well, something
is what's going on.
Hello.
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
James, yours looking good. What did you do?
Dead Bridget.
Just have like nothing moving behind you.
I'm by a blank wall.
Yeah. What options we have? Just plain. Yeah, let's.
This is what my background looks like normally.
Okay. Yeah, let's move the virtual background.
Okay. I don't know.
Didn't lose it or keep it.
This is my first time.
Yours is actually looking good, but I don't want in the middle of this it turns crazy. If you all could put any background you all want that, because James, yours was looking kind of sexy.
Okay, this is my first time doing Zoom on a computer. I normally do it on my phone. So where do I find the option to remove the background on the computer?
You see on your bottom left hand corner, you see something says video, stop video.
Yes.
Click on the arrow.
And
you'll see choose virtual background.
Okay, I see it. All right.
You select that and try.
I'll just put none.
Yes, which is again you.
Let me get to the proper position.
Oh, yes. Bridget, you don't have any of your dancing things? Any of your pieces? No, as a picture, as an image.
Yeah, she could use like any picture.
This thing is, this is not my normal, my computer is not working, so I'm just using this computer for this.
Let
so I don't
me
have
find
any of my stuff on this.
from your IG.
Maybe a picture of Bridget dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
same one that you sent me that was like in slow motion, something. That was gorgeous.
Okay, whatever you find, if you email it to me, then I could download it on this computer because this is not my normal computer.
Alrighty, let me get it.
Hi Val, how you doing?
You know, we haven't spoken in so long and I haven't seen you in so long.
You miss me.
It's plenty. I don't understand Corona trying to imprison humanity.
Well, yeah, I was now watching the press conference before I came on here just to make sure I know what's going on.
So what did he say? I saw beyond the posting in a group that we're in saying that there's a lot of theatrics today. Yeah,
it was a lot of nothing, a lot of fluff at the beginning, but he just announced we inside till the 15th of May again. So
he extended it today?
Yeah.
Any changes in what the inside means? Like
It didn't finish. I left the conference to come back here. But I don't
what they're doing, they want to test more local folks.
So they're changing the pool of who they're testing. So before we were testing all the people who fit the criteria for possibly having COVID,
right,
with whatever symptoms or their travel history and things like that. And now they're opening up the testing to more of the public so that we could see if it's if it's under control in the public domain before we reopen to people existing.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Hey.
Look at that man with the only hair on his face.
Just I'm loving the bed, you know. I'm loving the bed.
You too, Val.
Right? I can't tell the last time I saw someone hair. Any hair in hell.
Wait, let me change this background right now and see how you do it.
Well,
no,
background debate.
There's complications with the background, apparently.
Do you have any, well, not art related, but field related images?
You know, Dad's gonna come with some hard headshots here. Right behind your head.
With a slanted smile?
Right.
Because of my headshot.
Yeah, a mess.
Let me look download. I just got it. All right, cool. Boom. I should be on this. There we go.
Bridget, how are the dancers?
Some of the younger ones are not doing so well. I've been reaching out to different people at different times. A lot of them have been a little bit depressed and a little bit just different mental issues that some of them have been experiencing.
Right.
So I've been trying to reach out to them, and if there's anything with a red flag, try to reach out to the parents or whatnot. But yeah, because wherever I'll go in the middle of me answering this question.
I know, right?
He here and there.
I had a fan on that was making a sort of old noise. I'm not sure. Not
My sound is all right, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, Bridget, I sent it to you. Email.
Okay, hold on.
Why you all going back with this blue screen that's going to give trouble?
Oh, we're not going on blue screen?
No.
No blue screen?
No, I thought you were looking for the headshots.
You thought I was joking?
I thought you were joking. All right, no blue screen it is.
I'm up in the easy.
Mostly because my mouth is blue on that thing.
I don't know how your mouth is blue. I think it's because of the light. It has to be. The refraction of the light.
Probably.
The teeth is very white.
Greetings, everyone.
Hey, Mad.
Greetings.
Salutations.
Kevin, I have you here, and am I making you the co-host? Janelle, I'm making the co-host. Janelle, can you change the background? It's giving a lot of trouble. You could put anything else up in the back related to. Make co-host. Yes. Okay. Janelle is muted. Unmute. Yeah, Janelle, are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm hearing everybody. Well, I'm hearing you.
Can you switch the background? Can you switch your background, because we're still getting a weird
Thingy.
Weird CG kind of vibe.
Okay, one sec.
Are you all seeing this new background?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Chic.
So leave it.
Okay. Mohammed.
So.
Unmute. Okay.
I don't know which side to go on.
So I have.
Hello everyone, Kevin here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so we're making Janelle the host.
Right.
Y'all are hearing me okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Any echo, anything from my side? That's I'm not wearing a headset.
Nah,
Is that okay?
you're good.
Same. How's my audio, guys?
Good.
Is it
You're
good?
good.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks. I'm actually stealing someone's Wi-Fi right now. so-
Oh my God.
You have not stolen Wi-Fi, you have not lived. So
Indeed.
Hey.
I stole my neighbor Wi-Fi for 2 years.
Okay, so we have
Random reminder that your phones could be on sound.
All right, yes, it's true.
Mhm.
Trying to be right. What? Sorry.
Your phones could be with sound, so you might wanna mute or vibrate them.
Oh, my phone has never made a noise on since I
okay,
bought
so we
it.
have 3 attendees. Go to try a darker the other dance pick, because I'm seeing it has the same weird effect as well. Like if you're
I don't think it's the pictures. I think it's whatever is my
lighting?
lighting situation.
1 second, I'm coming now.
Unless you can put like a sheet or something over your window, Bridget.
You see how big my window is? I don't shit. Choose virtual background.
James, how you doing? I haven't seen you in so long.
Being a hermit and being more hermit because of this thing. I guess everybody is gonna be all outside when this thing finishes.
This one is worse.
Honestly, though, I love you. You're crouching in the back of yourself.
I'm back.
No, just the other day, I was having a talk in the camp with them about that, like the preparation for what is the immediate function of that day. Like people have described it as so many different things. I think it's going to be absolute madness.
Yep.
Which
Well,
is why
people
more like we need to make sure. I agree. We need to make sure we're safe before we open the gate, because when the gate opens, that's it.
It's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
I feel like I missed that.
okay, so we have attendees already. Hi, attendees.
Hi.
Hi.
5 minutes early.
What? People on time, man?
This is not Trinidad.
Let me jump and see if we.
Oh, you're all real bored or something.
They don't know where to go, brother. What they doing? Where they gonna go? I'm getting dressed up to come here. I don't know.
So they come to watch your face.
And I'm brush my beard and thing, and I prep it. Right?
People fed up cooking now.
Why? All kind of thing happening right now. But I genuinely want to see when people really realize that this is not that scene where your parents ground you for 6 months and they go and lay you out for 2. So you're holding on, and then that 2 months reach and your brain start to addle because you're like, wait now, I already not getting out for 6 months, man. I want to see that when you get a life sentence and you really realize after 6 years, yeah, we'll be in here. Then we go know.
There are 6 of you. Okay.
Oh.
Mud talk about a life sentence inside and everybody get quiet. Yeah. It just
Dum
went
dum
down.
dum dum dum.
Listen, it was a manner of speaking. You know.
This is like a behind the scenes. So the attendees so far.
Where the kids?
Where's that?
I said this is like a behind the scenes look for the attendees who are here already.
Uh-huh.
Or like as
So again, some weird effects on Bridget's thing.
Yeah. I think.
Validated.
Is she? Okay.
Validated.
Taking screenshots.
And how are we to do that, you know? Without making out yourself like that.
Listen.
Said like a true.
So that chooses today to be being where?
So today's the
How do
first
you
day of
take a
Ramadan, right?
screenshot?
And my grandmother just decided today's the day she gonna go hard in the kitchen, boy.
Wow.
Yeah, boy. So all kind of fruit cake making and all kind of thing
Hey.
cooking. And man still have about 3 hours again before to eat our food. That ain't so bad. 3 hours right
Can
now.
I go back to the plain background?
Today is the first day, man, or yesterday? Today.
Today.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we about to lose about 15 pounds for no reason. Well, I should say for no reason.
I need that.
You need that? Just stop eating food. Don't eat no food. Just wake up in the morning, eat a banana and drink a glass of water and don't eat nothing until 6 o'clock.
Fred, you want to go back to normal?
If I'm not
All right, sign me up.
Fred, you want to go back to plain?
Yeah, because I feel like I'm just always shifting depending on how the sun shifts.
The
and how
light
the
head,
clouds
yeah.
shift.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll go. Show us the Christmas tree.
No, you don't see it.
Yeah.
So now I'll
First
adjust.
time I doing the Read2Me thing, Bridget, and everybody. I was reading a Christmas book, so I real decorate up my background when I was doing the reading thing for Elena. So I real decorate my background, put up a Christmas tree because we're reading a Christmas book. So this bitch to watch me and ask me if my Christmas tree still up since Christmas.
You have attendees. You have attendees.
Hello.
And it is the first day of Ramadan. Stop it.
Nobody can't say bitch during Ramadan. You know.
Sorry, everyone. We're so sorry.
Listen, I sure God just look down right now every now and then and be like, bitch, look.
I'm ending this meeting. Good.
Do not censor us.
Sorry, we're so sorry.
When she said we had attendees, I thought they were like there, but I didn't think that they were here.
I'm getting extra. I'm getting extra.
Blooper reel, guys.
Getting the money's worth.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do a notification and send out to everyone.
Okay.
Not to y'all, to the attendees, the registered folks.
Okay.
Darius, where are you in LA or New York?
LA.
Janelle,
It is
Kevin is gonna talk
bright
to you.
and sunny out here. 12 o'clock. Noon. Yeah. We went down by the beach yesterday to walk, and people park on the beach at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Yeah,
wow.
Chilling on the beach. So it's crazy town. Let's see, there's a chat. All right, here we are. Okay.
There isn't 100% lockdown by you.
Yeah, but it's just such a big state that like police can't just be everywhere. It's so huge.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. So
I thought you were talking about Trinidad, and I'm like, people want to get robbed.
What beach, yeah.
What beach
yeah,
you?
I know, right? Like people in bikinis on the beach last night at 10 o'clock.
These are white people, just
Yeah,
I was gonna tell you blink once for white and just.
I'm done with all of you.
It was nice.
Tina is never contacting us again.
There was some bioluminescence, like algae in the water, so the whole ocean was blue. So I think a lot of people came out to like, it was blue. It was the weirdest thing. A woman stopped me and she's like, "Hey, I'm afraid to go to the beach by myself. Could you just walk with me to the beach?" This older lady. I was like, "All right, sure." She's like, "Yeah, today's so the whole ocean was like blue."
That's right.
Oh,
blue
nice.
like that. Yeah.
When they had it in what's the name of that river? I forget the name of the river in South had it.
Oh really?
You all remember like a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
It was mad. It was dirty.
Down the islands just have it regular. You know?
Oh nice.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, but not as much as it had in the river, but it'd be there regular. Real amazing.
Wow.
Just so everybody knows, we have not actually started yet.
Well, I would assume so.
What are these people talking about?
We're all talking a little bit and catching up. And apparently in LA, where Darius is, the oceans and the shores are bioluminescent.
Yes.
So that he's seeing glowing blue waves.
Which I've never seen before.
Liquid aurora borealis.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I love to follow that Instagram page.
What was that?
The page that much just said out loud. Or
I thought that was an expression.
Observatory or something like that. They have real cool things on there.
I feel like Mohammed doesn't know what you're talking about.
No. I follow him.
Oh.
I follow him.
Unless he didn't know there was an Instagram page for it. But
I mean, from the time you say it, I just like, that just makes sense. Have an Instagram page for a kind of thing.
yeah.
You know how many pages it have that dedicated to Zest activity? If you just hashtag Zessa, right? It has so many pages that are, and it's kind of disheartening to really see what Zessa behavior really promoting out there, but it's interesting. If you have like if you have 15 minutes to go down that rabbit hole, you should just do that for your soul.
We all have 15
Has there ever
minutes.
been any other
Yeah,
word?
that's a social media movement.
Now.
Has there ever been any other word that has like taken over our lives like zest? Like I feel like zest appeared and it just like spread all over. In 2 seconds.
I think over time it had real words that do that, but those kind of words they come and they go now, so we don't really remember. We don't really remember them. Like even now we're looking at the dancehall movement. The difference I guess is because there's YouTube and it's spreading like that. But I don't know if all remember when reggae was it for like a good 4 or 5 years. It was running the route. Everything for a time on this earth, boy. Everything for a time on this earth.
Panelists, feel free to keep the chat to check it as well, because people might be saying hi to you.
Oh.
Yeah, nobody don't know me there. I'm taking me out.
I'm gonna just put a hey. Oh no, I sent it to you alone. I have to change this. All panelists and attendees.
Yes, guys, just be very mindful when you are responding to the chats. So make sure if you remember you can send it to all panelists, or if you send it to someone in particular. So double check that now. So Bridget sent it to everybody and the attendees. So that is good.
Welcome, Bridget.
Everyone.
She's not exclusive.
Okay, we're gonna be starting in about 3 minutes because we just sent out the reminders to all 80 folks. So yay.
Yeah. Everyone, that is Elena. She and Kevin are the founders of Read2Me, which is the organization that is responsible for us doing this today, and also reading bedtime stories to children for those of us who have. So thank you, Kevin and Elena, for the good work you guys are doing.
Yeah. Elena on there.
Oh.
Don't cry, Stop that.
Easy.
All right.
I have a question to ask, but if I ask that question, it will be a problem right now. So maybe when all this is done, it have nothing to do with nothing that we want to talk about today. So
make sure and keep the question, right? Because now I will want to know the question. So
the question.
3 minutes if you want to ask it. We're starting in 3 minutes.
Please ask the question.
I think wait for after.
Ella said, a thought came into my mind, right, from something Ella said to me.
We lost them?
Yeah.
I think his internet just stopped.
Mohammed.
That's some serious suspense there.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, it was so well.
I think he's still taking his neighbor's
You know what?
Wi-Fi.
Wait until after. No, Mohammed.
The productive.
Wow, this is really happening.
Wi-Fi from the same person?
Yeah, taking Wi-Fi from LA.
Oh, this is continuing. This is great.
This is great.
When he starts back, we're just gonna say, "Yeah, that was great. That was an amazing story. That was the best story ever.
Ever to be repeated.
Ever. Oh no.
I think his neighbor found her.
Yeah, he jumped back in. So let's just wait for Mo to find back that be home, and we could get started. We have about 24 folks. We could, this Trinidad, they'll jump
They'll
in
fall
according.
in.
Yeah. Somebody said they're really enjoying the bloopers. So am I.
Yeah. Val's blooper reel was the best so far, I think.
Love that background.
Ah,
All right.
that's funny.
Okay, so we're just waiting for Mohammed to jump back in, and then we're starting, guys. He had a little bit of technical difficulties.
I am so impressed by how well I'm doing with technology right now.
Oh my gosh. And now he's
That was a great story, Val. Val, I
Great
love that
story.
story. It was one of the
Great
best
story,
stories
bro.
ever heard.
but to be repeated.
Never to be
Did the
repeated.
Muhammad thing happen to me too?
You'll never know. You'll never know.
Oh man.
Oh.
Okay, he's back.
All right, somebody paid the bill.
Hey.
We
Somebody
inside.
paid their bill and they're back.
Welcome back, Mud. Okay, guys. So welcome everyone who is here. Thank you so much for joining all of us today. This is Read2Me's very first episode of Art is in Heart webinar. The Art is in Heart webinar. That statement actually came from Minshall, which he was inspired by a particular poem that Maud would read for us later, Mohammed, sorry. And it's a really powerful statement, I believe, which each of our panelists today will be getting into as to what that means to them, what art means to them even during this time. Now, Read2Me's vision is to tuck the nation's children into bed during this pandemic with beautiful nighttime stories so that children can have a chance to still breathe, to dream, to just be, so that 2 persons read a local story every time. And thus far, I believe there are up to 30 episodes that have gone by so far, so that you can visit their Instagram page, read2me_TT. That's at Read2Me, and that 2 is the number 2. And you can see all their past episodes there. Now, today promises a look into Trinidad and Tobago's creative landscape and how some of our top creatives, our top brands, our top people in the creative industry have been dealing with this time of COVID-19, how they've been really adjusting their lives and what they're planning to do for the future. It's a sort of cross-section of creative ambassadors across fashion and dance and song and film and events as well, all in entertainment and all in the arts. And I think that is going to be an interesting discussion. As for me, I'm Janelle Fronton. I'm the CEO and founder of Mark Made Group, which is a Caribbean entertainment consultancy company. And I'm also a fantasy author. And I want to just introduce everybody quite briefly. With us today, and I guess you guys can wave hi when I say who you are, there's James Hackett. Hi, James. He is the founder of Lush Kingdom, an internationally recognized illustrator and designer and lecturer at UTT. We have Valmiki Maharaj. Hi, Val. He's the executive creative director of the Lost Tribe Carnival, Ultimate Events, and Talent Bank. We have Darius Marcelin. He's an LA-based actor, motivational speaker, and the founder of 1000 Failures Media. Really cool webcast stuff that I've seen. Bridget Wilson. Hi, Bridget. She's the principal of the Caribbean School of Dancing Limited, as well as the rehearsal director for Metamorphosis. And of course, last but not least, we have Mohammed Muwakil. He is a singer-songwriter from Freetown Collective and also a poet. And we all have heard Feel the Love, and this is the vocals, powerful vocals, and the songwriter behind it. So I saved Mohammed for last because he's going to open today's discussions with a poem that kind of inspired the genesis of the name of this series, which came across after Read2Me's first episode, where Mohammed and Peter Minshall would have read the first story for the children of the nation. And he, Peter Minshall, would have beautifully kind of reiterated this pure truth of this poem and then came up with the art is in heart. So Mohammed, would you like to kind of read that poem that is the inspiration for today's entire thing?
Poem is a poem by Federico Garcia Lorca. It says, the poem, the song, the picture are but water drawn from the well of the people, and it must be given back to them in a cup of beauty so that they may drink, and in drinking, understand themselves.
Powers.
Yeah. More powers.
More powers. So I want to begin today with really giving life to that phrase for each of you, so that everyone has the context of what art means to each of you, both in good and uncertain times. I guess, Val, I'll start with you so that you can kind of let us know, why are you on this journey? What does art mean to you?
Just start with these big questions.
Yeah.
That is, I feel like if, art has always been such a, it has been not even a part of my life, it's been my life. And I know most people that I interact with on my artistic journey right now interact with me through my main medium of carnival, through costuming, through movement, that kinetic art. But in my life, and I was telling Alina about this yesterday, I have been comforted by my art in different facets, whether it be writing, whether it be music, whether it be song. I have found that I don't even have control over expressing in those ways, and by extension, being almost like in a cycle, being comforted by that expression at different times, whether it be through grief, whether it be through isolation, like what we are going through right now.
Yeah, and this is kind of the time when art needs to comfort people. But how does that translate for you, Bridget, when it comes to dance? It's a very different art form to others, and I think it takes a totally different path, but I could be wrong. Tell me.
Well, for me personally, before I get so much into how I'm applying that to now, is art in the form of dance has always been a form of therapy for me. So in a lot of the hardships I would have experienced in my own life, when I look back on it, it was dance that really got me through those times. So in a situation like now where at first my response to being at home was to shut down for a bit because I was overwhelmed by what was going on in my life. So it was an instant like, oh, I get a break that I didn't plan on, but that I really need. But almost instantly after that, I thought about how much usually happens for us in the dance field at this time and how that would affect people mentally to just have to mash brakes and stop completely. And so I've been finding different avenues of how I could engage the dance community, keeping in mind that people will also have financial things that they have to address before being able to do that. So through my pages, I've been given a lot of free dance class and different things like that, as well as opening up to my students that I'm still there to talk to them outside of just let's dance and have a good time. But I acknowledge that this is a huge shift for everybody on a mental scale. So opening up dance, but also communicating outside of dance to help them through that.
Yeah. And do you mind if I ask, what is the age bracket in general of your students?
Oh, from 3.5 to adult.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the students I have the most contact with are a lot of the teens.
Got
So a
it.
lot of that secondary school grouping who they're on the Instagram, they're on social media more. So they're the ones who I would say pick up the majority of my followers on my pages.
Right.
And because of their age, they're the ones who are in training every day, whether
Right.
it's for competition, for performances, for whatever it is. So I think I have a much closer connection to that age group. So they feel comfortable WhatsApping me or Instagramming me if they have an issue.
Right. Okay. So now when I think of choreography, I also think of costuming, and that kind of carries me into design, which James, I kind of want to put to you as to what does art mean to you, and how is that, I guess, changing in this new normal that is happening in the world?
Well, the nice thing about design is that it's communication. And in a time like this, like for me personally, like the first few days, it was just trying to figure out what is happening, what's changed, what we're gonna do. And after that, I think it was about just using our visuals, our imagery to talk to each other, to send messages. And I think that has been important because we use that in a lot of the stuff that people are reading, people are looking at. So, and it's helped. There are people who would talk to you and say, look, this thing that you post up, kind of helped me through a tough time. So it's important for us to be those people putting imagery out there and positive imagery most of the time.
Right. And well, Darius, I mean,
Hey.
visuals are different for you. Visuals are moving and they're in film. And from what I've seen, Hollywood is practically shut down. You can't go on set. Social distancing has paused everything. How does an actor who is accustomed to this being the way of life do that? Like, what is film meant for you, and what does it mean for you now?
Yeah, I'll break that up into 3 different parts. I would say what film means for me. Film and TV has been a part of my life all the time, and even growing up in Trinidad, we were privy to watching what was going on to the big scenes in America, and it's an escape. You go to the movies, it's an escape. You go to watch a Netflix series, a binge is an escape. It's a way that people can relieve themselves from what they're currently facing right now. You go into a different world. And when I realized, in New York, when I realized like I was on stage and doing theater and stuff, I did a show and I realized like, wow, the lights actually is an escape for me as well. Apart from enjoying it, I love performing as well. And coming out to Hollywood and coming out to LA here, I realized how normal the job is, where I have friends who are lead actors in big movies and on series, on different things, and they just say I'm going to work, But in Trinidad, it was like the big thing for me was like, wow, this is a huge actor. But for me now in LA, these are my peers. I go to the gym with an actor, and he's, we're going to work. So it went from being this crazy thing to think about in Trinidad to these are just co-workers, or these are people that my friends are just say they're going to work. That's how people refer to it as it. So that's what the industry is for me, and it's a way to escape as well. As James said, it's an expression. And for me, I love expressing myself. I love to entertain, and I also love to inspire. So I think just by even my story from Trinidad to New York to LA, somebody from Trinidad or somebody from a small town somewhere could say, hey, if this guy could follow this step, and it's so simple, maybe I could do it as well. So that's kind of what my vessel is in the form of entertainment and stuff. And right now, I'll give you guys what's going on in LA. We do, if you could see into my space right now, you see there's ring lights, all the setups. We have to record auditions from home. So last week I had an audition for Tyler Perry's show. You set it up on the wall, somebody reads the lines for you, and it goes into casting offices. So a lot of TV shows right now, SWAT, NCIS, a bunch of those shows are taking auditions from home for the different roles that they have. And what's happening as well is because it's a lockdown, when they open it back up to everyone, a lot of projects have to be shot at the same time.
Wow.
So it's a big opportunity for a lot of actors like myself who are not named big name actors to get into those roles because not every actor is going to be able to shoot everything.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
So it's a big opportunity. The more tragic side to this thing, apart from the health, is the mental side of it. And I know a lot of people are dealing with financial issues here because all of us here in LA are creatives and we dependent on that. And it's so hard for us to even get any money from the government right now. So people aren't even in the frame of mind right now to think, say, hey, let me put together my package so I could go out. So when this thing is over, majority of people are just thinking about right now surviving in this very moment. Right. So it's a tough road and a tough seesaw that people are dealing with here in LA in this industry.
Yeah. One of the groups that I have noticed adapting really well has been Freetown Collective. And from what I understand from their manager, like they had these plans to do this entire online concert series long before COVID even had its play here. So that, Mohammed, I'm going to go to you to really get into, of course, what does art really mean to you both in Ghana and these uncertain times, and a bit of how Freetown seems to be strategizing and maneuvering so well in times like this.
Okay. I'm hoping that my internet does not cut out again, as it's been doing frequently. I don't know what's going on. Art, what art means to me. It's kind of hard. It's kind of like asking what your blood means to you or like what water means to you. Because those of us who live and function by our art and who are comforted by our art and who make our living and form our lives around our art, there's no real way to describe what it means to you. I guess every single thing we do is trying to ascribe a meaning to it and give it some sort of meaning because we're trying to understand this thing, you know? But my whole life has been formed by my art. Art for me was this kind of river I just jump into and it has swept me all over the world and into people's ears and in people's mouth and all kind of mad thing and into people's lives and their hearts and, you know, it's literally been this train that I don't have any control of except for when I sit down and every now and then I'm able to focus and maybe decide the color of the train a little bit at times or, you know, but other than that, it's just been this thing that has moved me along. And in this time, Freetown generally takes a position where we try not to stand up in the crowd and look around at single faces and make decisions. We try to like go away and go above everything a little bit and look down and look throughout history and look forward in time and backward in time. And there's a moment, I think a lot of people, you know, who feel in fear and anxiety in a big way are not realizing that there's just another moment that the earth having, and we've had moments like this before. So one of the interesting things that Lou and I have been doing, have been reading the writings of poets and writers from the time of the Spanish flu, and checking that type of stuff, and I could forward you all things from that to see how people responded before and what happened. And so the online concerts for us have been just our way of reaching out to people and giving them the energy that they would have wanted anyway. Just really finding a way to do that. And it was difficult because we had to each record our own pieces and then put all those pieces together, then take the audio and mix it down properly and then put graphics. So it's like basically creating a TV program for people to watch, to beat the latency issues, you know? But yeah, we love what we do, so the sacrifice is not as great as it might sound.
Wow. So that everyone has a different experience of this, which in a sense is going to allow for a whole lot of different types of stories to come out, I think, from the end of this, all expressed through art in one way or the other. But in looking looking at this, and this is something I would have told y'all and given y'all a heads up that I would have been asking certain questions. I think we all have a responsibility, and this is something I battle with within myself, where art itself can be a multiplicity of things. It can uplift, which is really great, bring that light, but at the same time, it's also our way of coping. And sometimes that art, when we cope, can come out dark. The stories can be dark, the imagery can be dark. It may seem even depressing if you listen to some of the things that people are being really honest about. And I'd asked you guys in the group, how do you differentiate as an artist between a responsibility to uplift humanity during dark times versus being true to the art? And the truth is, you might be feeling dark, down, depressed, and your art comes out that way. Like, do you censor yourselves? Do you limit it to particular audiences, or do you commit to the truth no matter what that truth is? And I'm going to hit Mohammed back with that, seeing as he has internet right now, to begin answering that particular question. Val, you're next.
a person in the dark, groping around, doesn't always know what they need. They might think it's a light, but if that light come on too strong and they really see the situation, they might be like, wait, boy, better that light did stay off. So let's say somebody down in a well in the dark and you show them a rope, they might know until they feel it now. When they can't see it, you know, sometimes, yes, while you might be feeling down and you create something that might seem to be down-putting or have a heaviness about it, somebody might really need to hear that, because what it also does sometimes, in my opinion, is it lets that person know that you're not superhuman. If you always putting out all this positive stuff all the time, then that person in a way might not be able to really relate to you, and they might look at you like, you could never understand me because you've never been depressed or you've never been hurt or whatever. You always just so positive. You're always so positive. You're always so positive. But if at times, you know, you just be, I mean, not even at times, just be yourself, I think. I don't think that there's any reason to censor it, because you don't know what the world need. You know what I mean? The world in its grand conscience said that right now the human race need COVID. The human race didn't want no COVID, dog. Human race, COVID is the world's depressing poem. You understand? Right now the earth is like, yeah, well, my seas are hurting and da. You're like, I don't want to hear that. I want to go outside and zest. But
wow,
this is what it is, and the earth is letting us know through this form that is what it is, and we need this. It don't matter if we don't want it. And for me, I don't know about anybody else, it has been some of the most depressing poems. Some people like Whitman and Poe and Neruda and things that have gotten me through, and Octavio Paz that have gotten me through some things that was real dread for me. So I say let it out. Let it out.
So true to the dark, if the dark is the truth.
If the dark is the truth, because you are conduit and you don't know what you're going to put out, where it's going to fall and how badly it's needed.
Okay, Val, do you agree? Is there ever a point in time when that darkness should be censored? What if it's children? What if it's adults whose minds are not able to handle that at this point in time, suffering from depression? Is there ever a time when the truth should be censored in your art?
Mud's words are just music. Like, I've listened to Mud talk just now and I totally agree. I feel like I don't believe in censorship in art. And I would say what he said in another way. Like, I've always thought about it almost like a key. Like, art is a key, opening doors, opening doors, opening doors. So to the person who is expressing, it's like a pressure cooker. Like, you need to get this out. And then to the person on the receiving end, as he said, you may not know that you need that, but sometimes somebody's perspective, the way that they look at something opens a door for you, opens an avenue to thought that you didn't even think about, that might change your perspective on something, leading you in different directions naturally, going from here to there to whatever. And I always remember a million years ago when I was in high school, we had studied William Blake. And Blake's Songs of Innocence, like one of the main narrative is that, like not keeping back that emotion, not holding it back, as it just breeds pestilence afterwards. And I think it's something that, you know, there's so much censorship in our world, and there is so much holding back, and there's so much twisting of truths that I feel like it's almost refreshing that when I look to art and when I look to artists and when I look to some of the pages that I follow of different design groups and so, that I could trust to see truth.
Okay, and is that something I can leave this question saying all panelists agree with, or does anyone have a differing view on this?
I think you need two sides of the coin.
Okay, why?
Because we need to process pain, we need to be comfortable to deal with that dark side of us, but you also need to see what the other side of it could look like. So sometimes you need that happiness, you need that light.
Okay.
Thing is, I have a different experience of this only because, as you said, I do work with the dancing school, but I do work with the dance company. And this is approached in two very different ways. So for a school show, for example, and I'm talking about outside of COVID before I get back into this situation, but in a school show, you have to do something that's light and fluffy and enjoyable because that's what parents want to see their children doing. Yes, and they are paying their money in that way. Yeah, it's not that I always want to do it, but it's something, don't get me wrong, I have done stuff that's not the brightest and lightest for children's shows, but at a certain level and done in such a way where the child and the parent understand that this is part of exposing the children to art. Whereas in the company setting, because these are the older teenagers and they are hopefully preparing for a life in the dance world, nobody has ever questioned where I choose to go with my choreography. And quite often it's dark. So a lot of the dancers, I always make a joke with them that I hate happy dancing. I don't like it. It's not something I am good at. I don't
Happy
find
feet was not your favorite thing.
Don't get me wrong, I love happy feet. Give me a good cartoon any day.
Yes.
But in respecting my own relationship with art and dance and how it comes out and how my life experiences choose to show themselves through my art, it's always mostly been on a very dark side of things. So so for example, because I work closely with Val to do stuff for Lost Tribe, that's probably a little bit more challenging for me because I have to think in terms of what are we trying to present in line with the band or in line with this theme or in line with this particular event we may have to do. But when I'm just creating dance I am creating a dance because I'm in a creative zone and a creative process. I'm creating based on what is going on through me. So in terms of now, I strongly believe in creating with your truth and knowing that this is what you choose to put out there. But people may or may not be affected. You never know how people will be affected, really. So you just have to be true to yourself and put that out. But on the same front, I've done pieces of choreography where are not known to me that some of the dancers had issues that I wasn't aware of. So the dance did affect them in their personal lives. And we have to then deal with that through therapy and through different things. So
wow.
It's my responsibility as their teacher and as their choreographer to put that in a safe space to protect them.
So then, Darius, I want to pull that question a little further and put it to you. Where is the responsibility and where is the line? Is there a line? And, Bridget understands that she's a teacher. This is her responsibility. They're her students. But for actors who don't know who in the wider public might be consuming the things that they do, the things that they put out there, like where is it that you carve out things that you would not want to act in? How does it work in your world, and where do you find that line?
I think being the author, we are all artists, right? Every single human being in this world is an artist. Some people suppress their creativity and the way how they outwardly create stuff, but we are all in theoretical sense the authors of our own books, right? And the script writers of our own movies and everything like that. And how you want to live out your life and the choices you make determine what roles you do. So some people And as Bridget would just said, you know, it pays the bills, you know, and at a certain point it pays the bills. In my personal belief and the way that I plan myself is I want to take care of myself financially so I can make the right choices through the art in the long run. So if that means I have my different businesses I do on the side, if I decided to take a job or take a role in a play and it doesn't pay that much and I like it, I could do something like that. So I want to be to the point where I'm not at the beck and call to say I'm going to play this role that I don't want to because I need the money. And a lot of times, and I see it a lot in LA here, people are desperate for the job and for the money, so they don't really have control of their destiny. And a lot of us aren't writers. I just started writing my first script in this lockdown. I started writing my first script. I'm telling you guys up front, I don't like to read. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I don't like reading, but I love visuals. That's how I'm easier for me to relate that way. I love visuals and stuff. And hitting back to Muhammad, my podcast show 1000 Failures, Becoming an Actor, tells my journey of coming to LA, my failures, every different audition I failed, etc., like that. And I have people on my show who moved to LA, slept in their cars, people who got told they were too fat, people got told they were too tall, and then won an Emmy. And all those stories, as Muhammad said, it was just people showing their side of telling their story of failure, coming on and sharing that. And it was so crazy that one day I jumped on my car. I was on like Hollywood Boulevard, and a girl called my name and she was like, "Hey, Darius." And then I was like, yes. I was like, "How do I know this person?" She's like, "You know, I actually moved to LA from Miami because I listened to one of your episodes and I followed my dream. And could I take a picture with you because it changed my life?" And as Muhammad said, that telling your story and telling your truth, no matter how scary it may seem, may affect somebody else's life, and you don't even know that energy then transforms into you to go do more stuff. So staying true to yourself and to who you are, I think is super important. And in this lockdown period, we have a time to, as me who currently unemployed, I have a time to figure out stuff that I do like and stuff, know myself a little bit more, to get true to myself, and the true to myself will be what this world wants. And it goes well to everybody in this lockdown.
Right. Okay, so I want to ask, and I have not prepared you all for this question, but thankfully Elena has approved it. I wouldn't be a fantasy author if I didn't try to carry out a bit of a fantastical scenario, but it has a purpose. So what I want to do in this particular question is carry you all on a very mini journey with me to a hypothetical reality, of which I would like you to tell me what you would do in this position in each of your art forms. So you have no choice but to leave planet Earth. Earth is done. It's for whatever reason it's done. But there is a habitable planet out there that has and supports life, a different kind of life. But the rules and the ways of this planet are vastly different. So examples of differences might be, with Bridget, the law of gravity doesn't work like it does on Earth. So movement and dance are affected. You can't choreograph in the same way. Or for Val or for James, the materials that they might use for clothing are ones that no earthly thread and needle could ever stitch. It's different parameters. Everything's different. Or with Muhammad and even with Darius, the air is different. So your voice sounds different. Musical instruments sound different. Everything is not as you know it. Their forms of film might be telepathic televisions where you could only go into person's imagination and plug in there, and I could watch Darius's concept for his new script in his mind only. How would you begin on this new world? What would excite you? What would challenge you if you had to start all over from scratch with new rules, new ways? How would you do this? Mohammed, you get to start.
I would say nothing for a long time. Because everywhere you go, there's a line of normalcy, right? So in a way, we as artists already traverse these alien spaces. If Bridget is doing a show with, I'm gonna be real here, right? If she's doing a show with International School, it's not the same show that she's gonna be doing with Success Laventille. It's not the same show that she's gonna be doing if she go in Malik. If I am preparing a set to perform and I perform at the US Embassy, or as opposed to performing in Somalia somewhere, or in the middle of Iraq in a battlefield for people who have lost arms and legs, it's not the same thing. And so for me, it is to find out what is the need and the purpose of me opening my mouth at all. Because I might go there and realize that it's best I don't sing. These people don't respond to this. They don't know nothing about that. They're not part of the culture. How can I, as an artist, use what I have to help? So I open my mouth and my voice don't work. But why? The real question is, why am I opening my mouth? Am I just singing because I'm a singer and I reach in a place where singing doesn't help? Let's say I open my mouth and singing is actually disturbing these people in them ears. Like, that is not what they're about. But if I listen long enough, I realize that if I hum, and I hum the songs I was singing before, they get it. Or something, wherever it is. And I play with my beard and the sound that comes from my beard is like this greatest musical instrument they ever hear in their life. And they're just like, wow, what is that?
Elena does not approve that answer.
Right? Like, I think that's a real profound question in the sense of we already navigate very alien spaces. And is it that you as an artist are going to press yourself on the space and what you think you know, or are you going to adapt and truly be useful to the space you find yourself in?
James, where are you at with this?
I mean, Afrofuturism, and I'm ready for that.
I'm ready for it. Bring it.
Yeah. To me, that's just a fascinating place to be. You know, like Mohammed said, this is something that we, as people who create and make things, you know, you're already accustomed kind of preparing for the unusual. So for me, that sounds fascinating. It might be a little scary, maybe frustrating, but it might be fun figuring out the new normal.
Val, you agree?
Carnival on Mars.
Nah, it's so funny you asked that question because while we were speaking before, I literally just tweeted that the artist is a filter on their world. And that's exactly how I see it. Like, we are this vision, this lens, this something that the environment and all these stimuli that are around us pass through, you know? I've been thinking about it a lot recently. I mean, of course, in terms of our own business and this post-corona world. And I keep thinking to myself that I'm excited to see what comes next. Because in my mind right now, any year of carnival that I design, that we present, that we join with these performers on the road to go and, you know, run through the streets, dancing, parading, adding life to the costumes, no year has ever been the same. So to think that we are designing the same thing every year is naive. I also think it's an atrocity to reduce carnival to beads and bras and truck and music on the road. That is not what carnival is. It never was what it was. It is hope and joy and the light at the end of a tunnel. And I don't think that we would be starting in this new mythical environment that you're describing. I think it would be part of the journey moving forward, as I think Mod was saying before. I think when we get there, whatever we produce would be en route to this new normalcy. I mean, if there will ever be a new normalcy, it'll be part of it.
Okay, and I mean, Darius, I don't know how you're going to do these telepathic films on this new planet and how your voice is going to sound, but yes, Mohammed. But I would love you to unmute and tell me exactly what you would do.
I think I agree with what Mohammed said. I think in every different scenarios or things change in your life, or life changes, we must take time to pivot to see how we could relay our energy or what we want to give off. Because the artist is a transfer of energy from one person, creator, and then they get the energy back from giving that energy. So we must take time to pivot and say, how do I transmit that energy? What's the right medium to give that energy off? I think that would be the first thing I do. Take time by myself, isolate, take time to think, how could I transmit my energy and what do I want to transmit next? And then if it is telepathy, if it is humming, if it is scratching my bed, no matter what the form is, whichever way I could give my talents and my energy off and give it back, I think would be definitely the way, my first step of doing something.
Okay, and Bridget, I mean, you have it pretty tough, because the law of gravity is now completely different. And I don't know how people are gonna be able to dance. And yeah, I mean, how would you begin this new life?
This life in a Black Mirror episode, you mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Actually, because I'm always trying to find a new way to move, this is like a super challenge for me. So as soon as you said it, I automatically had like visions of what I saw what people can be able to do. Because sometimes I do find, and this particular thing, like gravity is getting in my way, like we can't do this because gravity exists. So I think it would open me up to be able to explore my craft in a completely different way. I don't know if have you all ever seen Monsters Inc?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So just hold on, bear with me, guys. So you know how they used to collect the screams or whatever, they would go and scream at the children and whatnot. But then in the end of the movie, the screams were actually worth even more than they thought it was. Or the laughs, sorry. The laughs were able to give more energy than the screams.
Mm-hmm.
So when Mohammed was talking about how he would first, see, well, do I need to sing or do I need to hum? That's I went straight to Monsters Inc. because that's exactly it. Like all the time we're screaming, but it's really the laughing that makes it that makes this whole thing work better. So it's that same kind of approach I would have. Like this is how I know how to dance, and this is how I know how to move and to teach. But this is a different world that I'm in. So what can I learn from this world that could help the people who we've met there? But I'm also assuming we've brought people along with us, and it's not just me going to this new world. So how can I keep what I have to help the people that have come with me, and then how can I morph the two so that everybody can kind of live in harmony?
Yeah.
So that's this real answer, harmony.
Janelle, sorry, Bridget, like, it's so funny because when Bridget and I work together all the time, we always say, this this art that we create is kinetic. Like, it's all about the movement. And the past couple of projects that are moving into next that we've been thinking about have been about that, like how to defy gravity, like how do we make this move like this on the fabric? So you're saying it, I'm hearing her speaking, I'm like, oh my God, Bridget, this is it. It's a sign. It's
go, when is the plane leaving?
But the reason behind this question is because from everything that we have seen so far in this current COVID reality is that we have to disconnect from what we thought life was. Because the only way to traverse in new waters, in a new landscape, in a new reality where industries are different, life is different, is by treating it entirely like a new world. What are the rules? If we hold on to the old rules in some form or fashion, then we're going to get caught up in trying to repeat the things of the past, which may not work in this current COVID environment and in the one that comes after it. So that, I guess, as an important segue, given that this is how you would approach this new alien world, how would you approach this new Earth that can come post-COVID? What would you do now here to try and maneuver through new realities, different ways that industries might function, or the rise and fall of industries, if Carnival is delayed, if it's not, if events don't take place for another 2 years, but if they do, like, what do you do to pivot? It's up for anyone who wants to go first.
All right, yeah. I think I'll go. I think I when the first week we got locked down here in LA, it definitely it felt very panicky at first, and to myself and just developing over time, I just realized that I work best when I am thinking clear, and I'm not working out of fear. So with that, I said, take 2 weeks off. The first 2 weeks, I literally pulled up the 1933 Great Depression and 1932 Great Depression. And I looked at everything. I looked at what businesses came out of that, what people did, what brands people did. And as an artist, the art forms and everything were interrelated with the economy, because artists, we need to get paid. So in my respect, I'm thinking what business I could work out of from this. And just sitting back and looking at it, fast forward into today, there are businesses that are going to come out of this, and some people are going to thrive. In 2008, Uber, Airbnb took off because of the recession, right? And people didn't panic. Those people didn't panic. A lot of people are panicking right now. And I think if we take a week, even if we have that time right now where it's not a competitive world, take a week to see what would come up out of this scenario. And just on looking at this, us doing this video call right now is definitely Zoom, per se, their business and the business model of video calls and connectivity that way definitely is taking the forefront. And sitting back and thinking of it, I myself have a soccer camp that I ran in LA and in San Diego. And I was taking it to New York and Miami this summer, where I brought professional players from Manchester United, Man City. They came last year. They did the camps for me. And I was going to do it in New York and Miami. Virus had to stop the camp. And then I took 2 weeks, and I came up with a platform and to develop an app. And we're going to do live video calls with the athletes, with kids, with different clubs all around the world. So not only soccer, but cricket, basketball. You can have access to maybe Brian Lara, in India, the kids. So that's what I did within that space of time to think. I saw where is the direction going? And I think with dance, with mask making, illustration, music, poetry, and Muhammad was on that page already. Where is it going to next? And I think you just turn your attention to there. The new world and the new post-COVID lockdown is going to happen no matter whether you like it or not. And instead of panicking, stay calm, figure out where it's going next, figure out what my skills are, and direct it into what I could give and offer the world.
This is some really good advice. Especially love when you said you can't afford to think out of fear. Like that part, I think, is important. The pause, post the panic, and even look at the past and how people have survived. Mohammed, you were going to get into a little bit of something here with how would you orient?
There's that cliche statement that says, what is it? Average minds discuss people, etc., etc., events, and then ideas that we should, and basically saying that we should be discussing ideas. I think that's where it's at. I think if in a time like this you're discussing events or people, then not even in a time like this. I think if in any time, if you're waiting for a time like this to become profound about the way you think about the world or about life, then it's probably too late, right? Like crisis doesn't often give birth to genius just so like it just is a crisis and it was real notice yesterday and then today it's like, hey, everything makes sense in the world. That's not always work. But if you sitting down and really all the time kind of meditating on ideas, an idea will always morph itself into what the time need. And if an idea can't do that, then you have to throw away the idea and come with something new. But if you're somebody who formulates yourself to think about ideas, then you'll always be fine. If you're thinking about people and circumstances and trends and whatever, ideas become trends. Ideas become millions of trends. You know what I mean? There's things that just circle their way back all the time circling their way back because they will create ideas. And so for me, if you're thinking about preparing yourself for this time or for any time for that matter, think about the ideas that you think probably could not have worked in the world before. Or maybe for whatever reason you thought that they couldn't work, but sit down with those things you may have thrown away. Sit down with those things that you may have been afraid to talk about or to even think about, and begin to incubate them in yourself in the silent time. You know what I mean? Because you really have the power to make it happen or not make it happen. So for me, it isn't about trying to find specifically one way to pivot, but how is it that I can now manifest the ideas I've already had on all this time? And once you start thinking about that, then everything starts falling in line because you create a framework of where you are, and then you plug the ideas into the framework, as opposed to I need to talk to my audience. They're gonna lose me. It's only a few months. They need to hear me sing because they go forget me. They go forget me. Okay, no. What do they need? All right. How can I best suit what they need? Okay, because other than that, you could risk being offensive, right? Now, we say we talk any things. Soca music is a music for a specific circumstance and a time and a specific space to be used, right?
Look where you're going.
Soca music is fumbling a little bit right now, trying to find a way to stay in contact because to me it's still using the same modalities, right? It's still using the same modalities. Online fet now, online thing, okay, but right now people suffer. So when that person down to the last slice of bread in the house, and the last Pampers, and the last spoon of sugar,
oh no, that was in suspense. Okay, so that Mohammed's internet feed just gave a little trouble there. I'm gonna throw it at Bridget right now. Yeah, Kevin, that man really was spitting some fire.
The mic burn.
Yeah.
There's something that Darius said that kind of struck a chord with me. Because
is he back? I'm not sure. Maud, you back?
I think
you need to send some laughing.
Oh no, okay, he got disconnected. Oh boy. Okay, yes, Bridget.
Yeah.
I want to ask, especially as with dance, the pivoting might be different because I think it's especially with choreography, you're accustomed meeting in a group to do this in a way that's a little different to others. Like, how do you pivot? What are the new rules that you're observing in this current world and perhaps anyone to come?
Yeah. I'm going to touch on one thing that Darius said, which would lead into that, where it really struck a chord with me because I've been writing this tweet every day for the past week and then deleting it before I post it. That Darius said not exactly in these ways, something about in a non-competitive world right now. But I have been feeling so overwhelmed by how competitive dance just became.
Really?
Because all of these schools, that's our income. So if we don't have a student to teach, I don't have a way to pay my teachers because I have nothing coming into my school. So it has been this constant thing of, well, when the schools were closed in Trinidad, it was right before schools were going to close anyway. So I didn't really panic then because I knew that we had finished what we set out to do for the term. But okay, how am I going to keep my clients and my school and my students engaged, keep my staff employed, keep myself employed if I take a break when school is supposed to reopen on the 20th of April? So I think if it was me having to think about me as an artist and as a choreographer alone, it would have been a much different situation for me now than what I have to do because there are people who are looking to me for an answer in terms of their jobs and their futures. The day after the closure of schools, we actually had our international ballet exam scheduled for the next 4 days. And I have never been that stressed in trying to figure out how do I have these exams with this person that has flown in from around the world in this constraints of, well, you can't actually have any exams because you're not supposed to have a school open right now. And being thrown into it immediately, where we did have the exams, but we had to put so many measures into place to ensure that the exams could be done safely. And I was kind of forced immediately to adapt my whole life and how I operated a dance school, where I could have a class with me and 15 children in a class and the parents lining outside, to instantly going to no parents are allowed on the compound. Each child must wash their hands, do this, do that. In the middle of the exam, you have to wash your hands. All of that had to happen. And I was just kind of forced to do it with literally in less than 24 hours, changing how we run a school entirely.
Wow.
So now that we've gone into the online teaching platform, it's completely different. So, but it's actually been a lot of the things I wanted to implement, as Mom was saying, there might be things that you didn't get to do in the world that existed before, that it's time for it to happen now. So there's actually been a lot of things I wanted to implement within the school system that, based on how hectic my life was, I just couldn't sit down and say, I'm working on this now, we're implementing this now. And I've had the opportunity, because I have no choice, to revisit those ideas and revisit those plans and put them into motion. So I think it is a chance for us to look and see, okay, all these things I didn't get to work out, maybe now is a chance for them. Or maybe the things I had planned, because I had a lot of plans, there's a lot of flights I didn't get to take. There's, the plans that you do have, how do you put those plans aside and make way for the new things that have to come? But with the training that we've done, I can't teach the way I would normally teach. So I can't assume everybody is in a house that has enough space to do a dance class the way we would normally do a dance class. Even for myself, the floor that I have in my house, if I'm jumping and dancing on that, I know my body, I'm gonna be in pain, it's gonna cause injury, it's gonna do that. So I've had to really restructure and how we restructure and how we teach our children. And we've gone back to the basics, body conditioning, strengthening. So we've, as I said, all the times that I've suggested to the teachers, let's focus on this, and this too. But that gets shoved to the side because you have a syllabus to finish in time for an exam. It's now the time it's like, well, we don't have anything to finish because you can't teach your syllabus in your home. Yeah. So let's really focus on what is the core of our art form.
So, wow. So back to the basics then. Yeah. Which in a sense is kind of going over and filling any cracks in the foundation so that the themes I've been hearing from you guys to immediately try your best to get out of the fear-based responses, the panic-based responses to a point where you can think clearly, pivot quickly, allow yourself that ability to pivot quickly, understand that the panic is going to be there and you kind of give yourself that space if you need to get through that. Another theme that I've heard from all of you is about looking at past tragedies and seeing that we have as a human race survived this before. We can do it again and kind of understand how people were able to pivot back then, about formulating ideas. James, I want to hear from you where this in particular is happening. You're also an illustrator, aside from being a designer. And of course, you're in the education system because you're a lecturer. School also for you has changed. How is it that you can pivot in this new world? Because what I've seen, the online class life has been buzzing. There is literally all access to information classes. Universities are offering freeware like none others, openware for everyone. What would you do, or what would you recommend as a teacher, as a lecturer, for people who could really access this information and make the most of it?
Well, if we were to be honest about the education industry, it was ripe for disruption for some time now. And because of everything, people have been kind of slow to implement a lot of these changes that we should have. You would even have students who would argue that I could probably spend 3 days on YouTube and learn a lot of this stuff that was in the classroom. There are people who tell you that to your face now, which in some instances is true because of the skills that people have that they put out there to the public that you could access for free or for less money that you pay for some institution. This is an opportunity for schools to upgrade the way that they teach, upgrade the cost of learning, and also is like I was listening to everybody, and I think folks who kind of pay attention to their craft and their business and what they're doing, they always have a sense of like what is going to come next or how they could probably prepare for what's next. So I think people are kind of ready for some of this in some regard. It just kind of created a even playing, a clear field for people to start from scratch and kind of build these new things that we have, getting ready to roll out and so forth. you know, so like the online concerts and the way that you could teach a dance class without actually being physically in the classroom. You know, Val with Lost Tribe kind of changed the game a little bit, you know, years before this COVID thing. You know, so people have been ready for it. I just think now that the opportunity is even clearer and faster in rolling out these changes. So I'm here for it. I'm ready for it.
I mean, if it's one thing I can feel from the panelists here is this determination to not let art die and to also not let business die, and to find a way to ensure you not only survive but thrive. One of my best friends called it the period of no choice adaptation. You really have no choice, so that you adapt or you die. We kind of want to go to a few questions because the chat has been buzzing a bit. And I want to start with a question from the author Nika Edwards, and it's to the panelists. What do you think of art being taken far more seriously and being paid to suit in a post-COVID world? Nika was showcased author and narrator with Kevin Valley of Read2Me as well. And we kind of want to see who among you guys wants to take this question, in particular, art being taken far more seriously and being paid to suit in a post-COVID world.
That's a kind of dream.
Wow.
We've been here before mankind. I mean, it's not like some kind of prophet or something, but this is not the first time that a specific group of people have shown their worth. And seconds after they show their worth and everybody gets out of trouble, the whole of mankind turn around and like, give thanks, bye. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way it go. Like, the Quran constantly says, man is ungrateful, man is ungrateful. I'm sure the Bible will say too. There's a verse in the Quran that talks about these sailors who are on the sea. And it said that they never talked to God before. But as soon as these waves was towering like buildings over the ship, they cry out to God and they say, God, if you save us, we promise to worship and promise to turn back on our ways. And then the Quran said, literally, as soon as the waves died down, they went back to doing exactly what they was doing before. I don't want to sound cynic, but I know that there are people who have the wherewithal, the people who are in charge, they have the wherewithal and the ability to hold out until this is done. Right, the people who have been cornering Carnival and have been cornering the supermarket industry, like all these different things, the people who run it, they have the wherewithal to hold out. They don't have any reason to change. And because they don't have any reason to change, the superstructure isn't going to change. Now, what we could do is that those of us who have weathered the storm, those of us who are inclined to weather the storm, and there are people who will change within themselves, we will find a larger number of people who are inclined to move towards a different world. And will that begin to create a shift? Yes, I hope and pray. And will we see that shift in the next 5 years? I don't think so. I believe that there will be children 10, 15, 20 years from now who will hear about COVID in the way that they heard about the Black Plague and they heard about the bubonic plague and whatever, and will come out into the world in a different manner. I believe we will begin manifesting in the world in a different manner. But the superstructure, them niggas ain't changing. Shit. Sorry.
Anybody else? And those
like
views.
I was talking to a good friend of mine in the past week, and he was comparing post-COVID, like in his forecast. He says he sees post-COVID as being like post-war, and he the time for creatives will be then. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he said the world will need your vision. So I would split the question into two parts. On one side, I would say I see it as a time that creatives are going to thrive, because I think the world will need them to repair, to recover, to heal. In terms of the money and the pay, I am leaning with Mohammed a little bit. I think there's a lot more that would go into answering that question than just saying, because we will become necessary to the structure even. Well, that's something bad to say, but you know what I mean? Because we become more prominent in the necessity that we are there in that moment, it wouldn't necessarily transfer to money.
Okay, which leads to another great question from Delagun Harrington in the US, who says that the big artist can probably survive, yes. How is the small artist making a living? decisions not through fear, but real life ways of making money now as a small artist. How? Who can take that?
Everybody online, do thing.
I think what the benefits of when you look at big corporations and you look at small businesses, big artists versus small artists, you look at the finances of a big corporation and a big artist. Let me say a big actor. A big actor can't pivot and do a bunch of small roles. A big corporation can't change really fast. The benefits of smaller artists and smaller creatives, or a soca star who could just say, I might go try to do Latin music or try doing reggaeton. The ability that smaller artists have over bigger artists is that we have the ability to pivot really fast. And again, in this moment, we could change really quick. Big toothpaste companies and Johnson & Johnson, they can't just switch what they're doing really fast. But a mom and pop business on the corner could say, hey, this is what the market wants right now. So if I am selling only Bounty, like toilet paper or Bounty towels, maybe I could switch to baby wipes now. So you have to ask yourself within your craft and in your industry, how could I switch that's really fast to adapt to the market? So I think that's the benefits smaller artists have over bigger artists.
And are there any real life ways that we can recommend here of making money now, given that the marketplace is now, as James rightfully said, online? How does that work? And I mean, I know things like Patreon, for example, where people can pay maybe like $1 a month to you and you can give them exclusive content. I know a lot of music people might use platforms like that. I know there are beats platforms as well that people can license their beats to people who are looking for beats, and there are people who can put up vocals for people to license their vocals to put onto their beats. Like, I know that there are these systems, but is there concrete ways, real life ways of really making money during this time, or is this all up in the air for small time artists? Anybody?
I think the world is yours, to be honest. You have a number of platforms out there. The best thing is just to be out there. Be ready, have your stuff available, very specifically locally. It looks like we are finally getting to a point where we're gonna get consensus in terms of e-commerce platforms for people. So you can pop a very basic website, have stuff happening, you know, let people find you and use it, people online.
I think it's also an opportunity for people to examine themselves. And I feel like I keep coming back to this, but Pat Bishop once said to me that art is the well-making of what needs making. And to see whether or not you are an essential service, right? Because I am not so sure that if you are not a top-tier gunman tune producer, that anybody is listening to gunman music at this point in time. Like, top tier, right? Because the truth is, the Zesters and them wasn't really making the money through streams. They're making the money through their parties and getting hired for performances and whatever. So you might see a man with 3 million views on YouTube. That doesn't translate to an account. It doesn't. And until and unless that is being used in some type of way. So to move away from that, I think it's a real perfect time for people to examine their worth in terms of society. What are you giving? Because if to this point you weren't making something that you could put forward that people could say, yes, I want to buy into that. Even if I'm under a little bit of pressure, I need that. Yeah, I could use that in this pressure time. If you weren't making that all the time, now is the time to think about what you can do to pivot yourself to be necessary as opposed to being optional. People will be like, is a real good time I'm having? Yeah, you know, I go do. I was about to make a real bad analogy about beer, rum, and Hennessy, but you know what I'm saying. But yes, I'm not saying beer, rum. I'm just saying.
What Mother speaking, I was actually thinking when everybody else was speaking about, like, if you are a bigwig in an industry, and if you're a bigwig in a creative industry, there's a certain social responsibility that comes with it. And I mean, I'll just share my story of the past couple of weeks. When people have been asking me how I'm doing, on one side, I really have been in a moment of observation. And I feel in my quiet time at home, I've realized that I've been in this moment and almost preparing for this moment for a while and observing what's happening around me. When I think I started having really hard times is really sitting and seeing what the people immediately around me, beyond that around me, and so around my entire creative community, like they're creative, they are scared. And I am sitting in meetings for hours and hours and hours every single day, trying to figure out ways to make sure that no matter what happens, that we as the Lost Tribe and my sister bands and stuff, that I have a platform to be able to make sure somebody could eat our food, you know, that they could come out of this on another side. Mud spoke a little bit earlier about the voice of soca during this time, and the voice of Carnival needs to change as well during this time, which
Babylon
is why for a lot of us, what you say?
I say Babylon cut me off. You don't like the truth, but go ahead.
We're gonna make sure Mohammed finishes this point.
Oh God, should
Hi,
I
Granny.
pause?
No, Val, you go. This is all you.
Yeah, no, but I just think, you know, like they as much as we always like to say that, you know, like I think the responsibility is balanced. On one side, as an artist, I need to do things for myself. On the other side, I would never stand up and say that the bigger companies and the companies that have been successful should not be doing something for them. I think that their planning should be like any good business plan, flexible backwards and forwards to be able to consider those who have been working with us. So like for me, for example, in Carnival, we have been thinking about designers, producers, wire vendors, but further than that, my videographers, my photographers, my graphic designer, people who for the entire year, they may not be on permanent staff, but when you check the money they're making off of us, off of our group of companies, etc., you know, it's there. And I did an interview 2 days ago where somebody was asking me about, and Janelle, you and I have spoken about this, if there's any sort of matrix and figures and stuff that support what the stretch of this creative industry is, who is making what they're making, what do we really make on Carnival, what does it support? And, you know, to be very honest, I'm not dogging no government, I'm not dogging no organization, or nothing, but we don't really have that matrix there, like to say what it is. But I can tell you, and everybody here can tell you from being in it, we have already started being affected, even though we are at a point right now where there isn't enough information around us to say what is happening to the placement of Carnival 2020. But my producers, for example, they produce for 1 year's Carnival, and they produce for all these other little carnivals in between till they get to the other one. So they live an entire year off of carnivals put together that we will bring work to them. So even though other carnivals, I'm just saying, that are not Trinidad Tobago have been cancelled, our entire community is creative. We have started bleeding. We started hemorrhaging since the beginning of this. And Bridget said it before, like I can't be cold to that, you know? So I had some real hard times in this past week thinking about it. But after one meeting, I literally had a moment of silence. I had a cry. I got up the next morning and I said, I need to trust in a bigger picture. And I need to contribute to what a bigger picture is by a proper plan.
Mohammed, I want to kind of go to you. Val, that's deep. Wow. I want to go to you in terms of your point where soca is concerned, at the point that you got cut, because you left everyone in here in suspense, and I saw somebody saying that they really want you to speak out what you were going to say. So
yeah, no, people very, because soca is this soca is like the soca, I don't know, in a way it's like the golden egg, right? So all of us kind of keep returning to it. It's almost like the blood in the veins of Carnival and everything now. So it's become, right? So nobody wants to address the elephant in the room at times. But there's a part of our soul that soca in the last 20 or 30 odd years has not had any interest in nourishing at all. And I'm not saying that I'm crying down soca artists or whatever. For this Carnival made me understand why that is happening. I understand there's no time unless somebody's already engaged in philosophical pursuits. I have no time to sit down and really think about it in that way, which is sad in itself. But now we are in a time when people need to reflect. People do not simply want to forget. I, for one, do not want to simply forget where I am and my situation. I want to reflect deeply on where I am so I do not forget. So I could tell my nieces and them who now born about this time and what they should do should this time come again. And a part of that is the job of the artist. The artist is to record in a way that the historian can't. The historian can only recall what he sees and what is observed. The artist can recall what is emotionally felt. And that's the difference here. And so now we are in a time where I'm seeing a lot of the artists trying to find a way to navigate this new space. And some doing the old thing, and it's working. But I said before, and I said it in a kind of jest, I really am waiting for the time when people realize we don't have a normal world to go back to. We don't have, that's not going to happen. So how do you pivot fundamentally? You know what I mean? How do you pivot fundamentally in terms of even messaging, in terms of, again, coming back to the thing of what is it that people need?
The one advantage we do have is the ability to still even communicate like this. When in past pandemics, epidemics, whatever may have happened, was they weren't sitting down having webinars and video chatting. Like, technology wasn't there yet, you know, so that I want to believe humanity has a distinct advantage at this time. But Bridget, I mean, I don't want to exclude you from answering this, because there may be dancers who are tuned in who have been using dance as their livelihood or significant part of their way to pay their bills. How does this work for them? How does life work for them right now? Are there ways to make money?
There's, funnily enough, because remember in an earlier thing I said, if I was only having to think about me as an individual artist, my approach to this would be very different. But because I have to consider staff, I have to be able to keep them employed as best as possible. And unfortunately, that hasn't been the case, because we do have some people that don't have the technology or don't have the ability to be able to come online and teach classes. So not just for dance, but in any other situation. For example, I have a cousin who does events. So obviously there's no events happening right now, but how can she make use of what she has available in her company to be able to still provide for herself? I have trucks, I can provide businesses with a moving service if they need to deliver goods or do whatever. So things like that. So we've had to adjust what we're doing, but I think as an individual artist, and I'm not thinking as a school so much right now, that you mightn't be able to give online class, but you might be able to put together a program where maybe you shoot yourself in doing exercises or tips for dancers or whatever else you can think of to do. And how can you package that to give to the people who are looking to you for something and for some kind of hope and some kind of inspiration. I think, as somebody said earlier, I can't remember who, if you're already somebody who is filled with ideas, there's lots of ideas that will come to you automatically. I'm sure many of you on here, if not all, are the ones who stay up late at night with ideas just floating in their minds. I know Val for one, because Val calls me at 2 a.m. But sometimes I just get up and I have an idea and I just make a note of it on my phone, because it's not an idea that I can make use of right now. But if you have ideas, you will have ideas about how you can survive in this time. So I'm lucky that I'm able to offer dance classes online, but I know some people cannot do that. So they have to adjust their mindset to figure out, what can I do? Am I able to support myself without doing anything right now and focus on me and how I want to come out of this? Or do I need to find something to do to support myself? And if I do, what can I change to offer that to the world that exists now?
Yeah, I think that this has been extremely helpful even for me personally to really understand the different views of everyone here. And if it's one thing that has been consistent in terms of the only choice that we have is to pivot quickly, pivot well, and to basically do what we can to ensure that the art stays alive, that we're honest to it, even if it's dark. This is what I've gotten so far. And to basically take the time to do these things that you've put off for however long. the ideas that have needed a little more development, the things that you might have needed to do a short course on, whatever it might be, that it will be a time that is productive, or at the very least inspiring for you, and to find ways to be inspired, especially during the times when you're down and it feels depressing, because honestly, I think everyone here has expressed that form of battle. Mohammed, I know you have something to say.
Yeah, it's just a quote. Edgar Allan Poe wrote something called The Scourge of the Red Death, or The Wrath of the Red Death, in 1842. And there was something that was written about it, and it says, this isolated framing of an emergency, the close quarters perspective that values dramatic and ornate circumstances, while turning away from the larger societal ramifications, is as much of a horror as the Red Death itself. Now, the Red Death was a plague that was supposed to be outside, where these nobles were hiding in this church. In the economy of crisis, industries often supersede individuals, though recessions, like the one we're facing inevitably, have more vulnerable casualties who aren't as able to bounce back. Our leaders will stay safe inside, while the less fortunate suffer elsewhere. All these and security were within, without was the Red Death.
Wow.
And that was in 1842, you know?
Wow.
So, like I say, we've been through it. And if we look, we'll find where men and women have dealt with these things already. You know, it's just for us to find what our ancestors were talking about.
I want to read to me. You guys were able to do something incredible today by allowing our panelists to have an opportunity to be open, to be even vulnerable, to be vessels for a way forward, a way to think even, and a way to feel through this. Quick reminder before I want to ask Val to once again read Peter Minshall's poem in the end, but quick reminder before he ends with that for us that Read2Me can be followed on Instagram and Facebook. It's Read2Me_TT, as READ, the number 2, me_TT, all on Instagram and Facebook for past announcements. And of course, this is the first installment of this particular webinar, and I'm sure there'll be a few more to come with a lot of people to speak to. Val, do you have that beautiful Peter Minshall poem? Well, not Peter Minshall, but it's the inspired by Peter Minshall in terms of the idea poem in front of you? I'd love for you to end off for us.
I'm not going to say thank you for bringing us back to this. Like, I had so many thoughts at the beginning, then we started talking all over the place, and now my mind is just back here. Excerpt from Federico Garcia Lorca. The poem, the song, the picture are but water drawn from the well of the people, and it must be given back to them in a cup of beauty, so that they may drink, and in drinking understand themselves.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We appreciate having you here. We appreciate you being here. Yeah, stay safe. Feel free to send us a few comments as we close off, anything that you want to tell anybody in here. That's about it for us today. It was good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Elena and Kevin from Read2Me. Y'all are awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
This was a vibe. I appreciate it. Yes.
It really was a vibe.
Mohammed, your Wi-Fi. Oh my God.
My Wi-Fi is CIA, my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, boy. She's going to cut you off.
Right through. The first time I tried to ask the question, it cut off. And when I started talking about soca, it cut off. Well, you think I joking?
Soca Jambi.
Babylon need to leave me alone.
Soca Jambi. Darius, what time is it across there?
It is 1:32 p.m. Thank you, Mom, in Brooklyn, everybody there.
Hi, Darius.
Logging on, supporting. Just want to tell everybody again, don't panic. And if anybody needs to reach out, you can reach out to me. Find my name is my Instagram. And just if you want to talk or just converse ideas, I am here for everybody. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. We love you very much.
Love Adelagu.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bridget. We're just like, what is going on? Bye, everybody.
Bye.